This video is about the mom stood near the university library, and a billionaire handed her an umbrella. If this story touches your heart, please mention where you are watching from in the comments. Please like the video and share your thoughts in comments. The rain fell in a steady rhythm, drumming against the cobblestone streets outside the university library. Students hurried by, heads down, clutching books and papers close, trying to avoid the downpour. Among them stood Eliza, a 34-year-old single mother and graduate student, her dark curls dampened by the persistent drizzle. She clutched a worn leather satchel against her side, filled with notes and textbooks for her upcoming final exams. Eliza's brow furrowed in concentration as she mentally reviewed her study materials. The pressure of balancing school and motherhood weighed heavily on her, but she had promised herself that her son Max would see her graduate, even if it meant enduring a few more rainy days like this one. She had just spent hours in the library, poring over literary theories, her thoughts swirling with the complexities of postmodernism. The anxiety of her impending finals made her stomach churn. She glanced at her watch. Max would be home from school soon. Her heart sank at the thought of him waiting in the rain for her. Lost in her thoughts, she barely noticed the figure approaching her until he stood close, the warmth of his presence breaking through her focus. He was tall, impeccably dressed, with the unmistakable air of someone who was used to being noticed. His tailored coat and polished shoes were striking against the muted backdrop of the rainy day. "Excuse me," he said, his voice smooth like silk. "You look like you could use this." He extended a sleek black umbrella toward her, the kind that seemed to belong more to a fashion runway than a stormy day. Eliza blinked, momentarily taken aback. Please," he insisted, a hint of a smile playing at the corners of his mouth. "I insist. I can't let someone brave enough to study outdoors get drenched." She hesitated, caught off guard by his directness. "I appreciate the offer, but Let's not pretend," he interjected, an amused glint in his eye. "You're going to get soaked if you don't take it. And then how will you help your son with his homework?" Eliza raised an eyebrow, intrigued despite herself. "How do you know I have a son?" "I don't, but I've learned that most people have a story worth telling. Yours is written on your face and your bag." She glanced down at the satchel, her defenses wavering. "It's just books." "Books can be very personal." His gaze held hers, and for a moment, the world around them faded into the background. "I'm Adrian, by the way." "Eliza?" "Patat." She took a step back, forcing herself to break the spell. "I really can't accept this." "Why not?" He tilted his head, genuine curiosity etched on his features. "What's the harm in sharing an umbrella for a few minutes?" She glanced at the rain falling harder now, thick drops splattering against the sidewalk. "I suppose there's no harm in that." "Perfect," he said, opening the umbrella with a swift flick of his wrist. "Just like this, we can stay dry and continue this little conversation." As he tilted the umbrella to shield them both, she felt the space between them shrink, their shoulders almost touching. The intimacy of the moment surprised her, a connection she didn't expect to feel on a dreary Tuesday afternoon. "So what are you studying?" he asked, his interest palpable. "Literature," she replied, a smile creeping onto her face. Ironically, under the weather. "Art imitating life." He grinned, and Eliza found herself enjoying his banter. "I wouldn't mind being under the weather if the company is as charming as you." Her heart fluttered at the compliment, but she quickly reminded herself of the realities waiting for her at home. "I'm just a graduate student trying to keep it together. And what about you? What do you do when you're not rescuing stranded scholars?" Adrian's expression turned contemplative. "I'm a businessman, mostly in tech, but I have a soft spot for literature. I was often hiding from my responsibilities in books at your age, so I can relate." "What's it like being a billionaire?" she asked, half joking. He chuckled, the sound rich and warm. "It's not as glamorous as it sounds. There's pressure, people's expectations, and the constant fear of losing everything. And then there's isolation. Eliza watched him closely, sensing a depth to his words that belied his wealth. "It must be hard to find genuine connections," she said, her voice softer. "It is." He studied her for a moment, then added, "But this moment, sharing an umbrella with you, feels refreshingly real." A spark ignited in her chest, followed by a wave of uncertainty. She shouldn't feel this way, shouldn't let herself be drawn into the charm of a man like him. But there was something disarming about Adrian. "How cute!" a voice chimed from the adjacent sidewalk. A petite blonde with an exuberant smile waved at them. "Hey, Adrian? Stolen umbrella date?" Eliza's stomach dropped slightly, feeling suddenly exposed. The tension shifted, and she sensed an unexpected jealousy twist in her gut. "Just a friendly rescue," Adrian replied smoothly, but his eyes remained on Eliza, a hint of mischief sparking behind them. "Right," the blonde said, raising her eyebrows with a teasing inflection. "You're not fooling anyone, you know." Eliza forced a smile, trying to hide her discomfort. "Nice to meet you," she said, attempting to sound polite despite the sudden awkwardness. "Likewise," the blonde replied, her smile lingering. "Are you two studying together? Because I could use some studying guidance myself." "Not exactly," Adrian said, his tone light but firm. "Just a chance encounter." The blonde's smile faltered slightly as she glanced between the two. "Well, have fun. I'd hate to interrupt your little moment." With a wink that felt overly familiar, she strolled away, leaving Eliza grappling with the remnants of their brief interaction. Adrian's expression shifted, a mix of annoyance and amusement flickering across his features. "Seems like I've got some explaining to do." Eliza chuckled, the tension easing, though her heart raced at the implications of their interaction. "I didn't think billionaires had to deal with jealousy too." He smiled, but there was a seriousness in his eyes. "It's complicated. Sometimes people assume things based on appearances." She shifted her weight, suddenly aware of the way the rain drizzled around them, the umbrella now a small sanctuary in a chaotic world. "And what do you assume?" "That people are more than what they seem at first glance. Just like you, Eliza." His gaze lingered on her, an intensity that made her pulse quicken. "Maybe we're both a little lost today, huh?" "Maybe," she replied, the word hanging in the air between them, heavy with unspoken possibilities. As the rain continued to fall, so did the distance between them, leaving Eliza with a sense of yearning she hadn't expected. Adrian was an enigma, a man who seemed to see her for more than a struggling student or a single mother. And for the first time in a long while, she felt a flicker of hope amidst the chaos of her life. Little did they know, their lives were about to intertwine in ways neither of them could imagine, and the umbrella would prove to be just the beginning of their complicated story. The rain continued to fall, the sound loud and steady around them, but Eliza found herself more focused on the man beside her. Adrian's presence felt like a warm balm against the cold of the day. Each drop seemed to dance around their sheltered space, the world beyond them muted in gray. "Do you often rescue people from rainstorms?" she asked, glancing at him sideways, trying to keep the mood light despite the unexpected weight in her chest. His smile widened as if her question amused him. "Only the most captivating," he replied, his voice teasing, laced with something deeper. "But maybe I should start charging for my services." "Oh, really?" she shot back, her heart beating a little faster. "What kind of fee are we talking about?" "Perhaps a coffee next time," he suggested, his eyes sparkling with mischief. "That would be a fair trade for preventing you from turning into a soggy bookworm." Eliza bit her lip, enjoying the banter. The thought of sharing a coffee with him felt tantalizing, but reality nudged at her. "That sounds nice, but I have responsibilities. My son—" "Max, right?" he interjected smoothly. "Yes. How did you know?" she asked, surprised. "I guessed," he replied, shrugging as if it were a simple thing. "You have that look, that determined, dedicated mother look. I admire that." Her heart warmed at his words, but she quickly tempered the rising warmth with a reminder of her reality. I'm just trying to keep my head above water, really. It's not glamorous. Sometimes the most unglamorous things hold the most value, he said softly, the flirty edge of his voice giving way to sincerity. You're doing something incredible, Eliza. Finishing your degree, raising a son. Not everyone can juggle both. Thank you, Adrian, she murmured, a rush of gratitude swelling within her. That means a lot. As they stood there, the rain continued to create a barrier between them and the outside world, creating an almost surreal bubble around their conversation. But the moment was punctuated when the petite blonde reappeared at the edge of the umbrella's coverage, her bright voice slicing through their intimacy again. Hey, sorry to interrupt. I just had to ask. She began, leaning against a lamppost, clearly not ready to give up her aimless pursuit of Adrian. Not a problem, Adrian said, cutting her off. His tone shifted slightly, a hint of annoyance creeping in, but he kept his smile. What's on your mind? I noticed your umbrella heroics, she said, a teasing lilt in her voice. I mean, dating's a little tricky when you're hiding under an umbrella. Eliza felt something twist in her gut again, a flare of protectiveness mixed with jealousy. She forced herself to smile politely, but it felt strained. I'm not hiding, Adrian replied, his eyes flickering back to Eliza. Just having a conversation with someone who has a lot on her plate. Oh, I see. Well, I wouldn't want to be a distraction, but if you're interested in grabbing dinner with me later, let me know. The blonde flashed a bright smile before turning to leave, her confidence unabashed. Eliza felt her cheeks heat, and she glanced sideways at Adrian, unsure how he would react. His expression was inscrutable, but the lines around his mouth tightened. Sorry about that, he said once the blonde was out of earshot, his tone lighter but with an undertone of seriousness. Some people do seem to think my life is an open invitation. Seems that way, Eliza replied, a teasing edge to her voice. What is your usual response to such invitations? Usually I politely decline, he said, his gaze steady on her. But it's hard to be polite when the person I'd rather be talking to is standing right here. His words hung between them, thick with meaning, and Eliza's heart raced. She was aware of their proximity, the warmth radiating from his body. Her skin tingled with a mix of excitement and apprehension. Is that so? She teased, though her voice trembled slightly. You seem to have a way with words. I try, he replied, shrugging again, but his eyes locked onto hers with such intensity that Eliza felt as if the air around them had shifted. Their gaze lingered, the rain drumming a steady rhythm on the umbrella above them. There was a moment of electric silence, and Eliza found herself leaning slightly closer, drawn to the warmth radiating from him. But before she could respond, the sound of a familiar, high-pitched voice broke through their moment. Mom, is that you? Max's voice called from a distance, pulling her back to reality. Eliza turned quickly, spotting her son at the far edge of the library's entrance, his small figure drenched but determined. Relief washed over her, followed by a pang of guilt for being caught in this unexpected moment. Yes, honey, I'm right here, she called back, the warmth between her and Adrian dissipating as she took a step away from him, the reality of motherhood crashing back in. Adrian followed her gaze, his expression shifting as he took in the sight of Max. You have a wonderful son, he said softly. Thank you, she replied, her heart swelling with pride. Hay is my greatest achievement. She felt a flutter of sadness at the thought of this moment ending. Max bounded toward them, his face lighting up at the sight of his mother. Mom! I thought I'd have to wait forever, he exclaimed, his small hands clutching a backpack that was nearly as big as him. Sorry for keeping you in the rain, buddy. This nice man helped keep me dry, Eliza said, gesturing to Adrian. Thanks! Max beamed up at Adrian, oblivious to the tension that had just unfolded between the adults. You're a superhero, Adrian chuckled, a genuine smile breaking through. Just doing what I can, he replied, the warmth returning to his voice. You must be Max. Your mom has told me all about you." "Really? All good things, I hope," Max said, his eyes wide with curiosity. "Only the best," Eliza added, her heart swelling with warmth as she glanced at Adrian. "He's been very kind." "Can I have a superhero umbrella too?" Max asked, glancing up at Adrian with wide eyes. Adrian bent down, a playful smile lighting up his features. "I can't promise you an umbrella, but how about a deal? If you finish your homework this week, I'll take you for ice cream." Max's eyes sparkled with excitement. "Really? You mean it?" "I do," Adrian said, his gaze unwavering. "But only if your mom agrees." Eliza felt a surge of gratitude for Adrian's kindness, even as she wrestled with her own emotions. "I'll have to check with him first," she said, letting a teasing smile unfold. "But I think we can manage that." As they chatted, the rain began to taper off into a light drizzle, and Eliza felt an odd mix of disappointment and relief. The moment with Adrian had felt intoxicating, but the reality of her life loomed ahead. She couldn't ignore the responsibilities that awaited her. "Well, we should probably get going," she said, glancing between Max and Adrian. "Thank you for the umbrella and the lovely conversation, Adrian." "Of course," he replied, his smile holding a hint of something unsaid. "And I hope to see you both again soon." Max waved eagerly, his excitement bubbling over. "Bye, Adrian, you're the best." Eliza took a step back, pulling her son closer to her side as she felt the weight of the moment shifting. "Take care," she said softly, her heart fluttering in a way that felt both beautiful and terrifying. Adrian's gaze lingered on her, a silent promise woven through the unspoken words. "You too, Eliza." As they turned to leave, Eliza felt the rain-soaked cobblestones beneath her feet, the world opening up in front of her. There was a bittersweet ache in her chest, a mix of hope and uncertainty. She glanced back over her shoulder, catching Adrian's eye one last time before stepping into the future that awaited her, a future now tinged with the possibilities of what might come next. Eliza walked briskly away from the library, her heart still racing from the chance encounter with Adrian. Max chattered excitedly beside her, oblivious to the lingering tension of the moment. "Can we go to the park after ice cream?" he asked, his eyes alight with enthusiasm. "I want to see if the swings are open." "Sure, that sounds fun," Eliza replied, forcing her mind to focus on her son. Yet, her thoughts kept drifting back to Adrian's warm gaze, his laughter echoing in her mind. "Are you thinking about Adrian?" Max asked, his innocent voice shattering her reverie. "What? No. I mean, maybe," she stammered, caught off guard. "How perceptive he was. It's just, I was thinking about how nice he was to us." Max's eyebrows wiggled in that mischievous way that made her heart swell with pride. "You like him, don't you?" "Max, it's not that simple," she replied, feeling warmth flood her cheeks. "He's just someone I met. Besides, he's a busy businessman and I'm just your mom trying to finish school. But he was nice. And cool." Max persisted, his tone teasing yet earnest. "And he has a cool umbrella." Eliza chuckled, shaking her head. True, the umbrella was impressive. She glanced up at the fading rain clouds, anxiety creeping back in. "But I have a lot on my plate, buddy. We're just not in the same world." "Does that matter? You could still be friends." "Or more," Max suggested, a cheeky grin plastered on his face. She shot him a mock glare, her heart warmed by his earnestness. "What do you know about more anyway?" "I'm almost 7. I know a lot," he exclaimed, his small fists on his hips as he tried to look imposing. Eliza couldn't help but laugh. "All right, you make a valid point. But let's just focus on ice cream for now." As they strolled toward the small ice cream shop nestled between the university and the park, her mind drifted back to Adrian. She recalled the way his eyes sparkled with mischief and warmth, as if he had the power to light up the dreariest of days. The way he had looked at her made her feel seen, more than just a student or a mother. It stirred something deep within her, something she hadn't allowed herself to feel in a long time. Max tugged at her hand, pulling her from her thoughts. Mom, can we get sprinkles? Yes, sprinkles. She agreed, her heart lifting at his joy. Let's get the biggest scoops they have. Once inside the shop, they were enveloped in the sweet, sugary scent of waffle cones and chocolate ganache. The cheerful chatter of customers filled the air, and as they stood in line, Max bounced excitedly. I want chocolate marshmallow and mint chip, he declared as they approached the counter. Good choices, Max. I'll have vanilla with caramel swirls, please, Eliza said to the clerk, her heart still fluttering from earlier. As they waited for their orders, a familiar figure entered the shop. Eliza's heart skipped a beat as she recognized Adrian striding through the door, shaking off the last few drops of rain from his coat. Of all the places, he said, his voice a mix of surprise and delight as he caught sight of them. What are the odds? Adrian! Eliza exclaimed, her cheeks warming at the sight of him. We were just getting ice cream. Looks like you're in good company, he said, glancing down at Max, who was practically bouncing on his toes. Hey there, buddy. Did you finish your homework? Max nodded vigorously, his ice cream in hand. I'm going to get a giant scoop of ice cream because I did my homework. You should come and celebrate with us. Adrian chuckled, a genuine smile spreading across his face. That sounds like a worthy celebration. I just might take you up on that. Eliza picked up on the easy camaraderie between them, a flicker of warmth igniting within her. We're just about to dig in, she said, trying to keep her tone casual. What about you? Oh, I can't resist ice cream either, Adrian replied smoothly. I'll have a double scoop of chocolate. It's my favorite. As they moved to the side of the shop to enjoy their treats, Eliza felt a jolt of excitement. The atmosphere buzzed with energy, and she couldn't help stealing glances at Adrian. The light caught his features perfectly, highlighting the sharp angles of his jaw and the kindness in his eyes. So, what's the plan after your ice cream celebration? He asked, leaning slightly closer to her. Hitting the park, she said, her heart racing. Max wants to swing for a bit before heading home. Sounds like a blast, he replied, watching Max with an amused expression. Mind if I join you? She hesitated, unsure how to respond. Please, Mom. Max chimed in, his eyes wide with excitement. Adrian can be our superhero for the day. Eliza chuckled at Max's enthusiasm, feeling her resolve weaken. Okay. Sure. The more the merrier, right? Awesome. Adrian beamed, and there was something infectious about his smile that made her heart flutter again. As they left the ice cream shop, the sun peeked through the clouds, casting a warm glow on the wet pavement. Max dashed ahead, while Eliza and Adrian walked side by side, feeling an electric tension in the air. So, what do you do for fun, Adrian? She asked, trying to keep the conversation light. Honestly, I love to read. When I'm not buried in meetings, I try to sneak in a good novel or two. It's my escape, he admitted, glancing sideways at her. What about you? I used to read all the time, she said, her voice tinged with nostalgia. But now it's mostly textbooks and children's stories. Maybe I can lend you a book sometime, he suggested, his tone casual but his eyes intent. Maybe, she replied, a playful smile flickering on her lips. Only if it comes with coffee. Deal, he said, a spark of mischief dancing in his gaze. As they reached the park, they found the swings unoccupied, a perfect invitation for Max to leap into action. He raced toward them, his laughter ringing out in the crisp air. Eliza settled onto a nearby bench, watching her son with delight. Adrian remained close, leaning against a tree, his gaze focused on Max. He's a great kid, he said, his voice softer now. You're doing an amazing job raising him. Thank you, Eliza replied, her heart swelling with pride. I try my best. She caught Adrian's gaze, and for a moment, the world faded away, leaving only the two of them. The way he looked at her made her heart race, a mix of admiration and something deeper stirring within. Are you happy? He asked suddenly, the question hanging heavy in the air. Happy, she echoed, caught off guard. I mean, I have moments of happiness, but life is complicated. I get that, he said, nodding. But you're doing something incredible by pursuing your dreams while raising a wonderful son. Eliza felt a warmth bloom in her chest. It's hard, though. Sometimes I worry I'm not enough for him or for myself. Adrian stepped closer, his expression earnest. You are enough, Eliza. You're balancing so much, and it's okay to feel overwhelmed. Just don't forget to give yourself some grace. A lump formed in her throat, and she looked away, fighting to keep her emotions in check. It's just... Sometimes I feel like I'm drowning. He paused, his voice low and soothing. Then let me help you swim. We can figure this out together. Eliza looked up, searching his eyes for a hint of insincerity, but all she found was sincerity and warmth. I don't want to drag you into my chaos. What if I want to be part of that chaos? He countered, a playful smirk on his lips. Maybe I thrive in messy situations. Is that so? She teased, though her heart raced at the idea. A billionaire who thrives on chaos. That's a new one. I'm full of surprises, he replied, his gaze unwavering. Just then, Max called from the swings, his small voice breaking the moment's intensity. Mom, come, push me higher. Eliza turned, feeling a rush of responsibility wash over her. Coming, she shouted back, feeling the moment with Adrian slip away. As she moved toward the swings, she felt his presence behind her, a comforting weight. I'm right here, he said, his voice steady and warm. Eliza pushed Max higher, her heart swelling with love as he whooped with joy. Adrian stood close, watching with a smile, his presence wrapping around her like a protective shield. Isn't this fun? Max exclaimed, his laughter ringing through the air. Yes. Eliza pushed Max higher, her heart swelling with joy as he soared through the air, his laughter echoing like music against the backdrop of the park. She could feel Adrian's presence beside her, a grounding force that made her heart flutter with unspent energy. Higher, Mom! Higher! Max called, his small hands gripping the chains of the swing with fervor. Okay, just hold on tight. She laughed, her voice carrying warmth despite the lingering tension of earlier. The rhythmic creak of the swing echoed in the tranquil park as Max flew, catching glimpses of clouds racing overhead. Adrian leaned against a nearby tree, arms crossed casually, his eyes bright with amusement. He's got quite the spirit, he remarked, a smile tugging at his lips. He does, Eliza replied, glancing at him, her heart tapping a little faster. He has so much energy. It's like he collects it during the day just to unleash it at the park. Seems like a smart strategy, Adrian said, stepping closer. You should consider it yourself. Collecting joy, I mean. You deserve it. Eliza felt her cheeks warm at his compliment. I try, but life tends to get in the way. Adrian's expression shifted, the lightheartedness giving way to something deeper. What if I told you that you could find joy amidst the chaos? That it's okay to let someone in to help you? Eliza felt a rush of vulnerability wash over her. I appreciate that, Adrian. But it's not easy for me to let people in. I've spent so long managing everything on my own. Yet here you are. He gestured around, sharing this moment with me and with Max. That's a step, isn't it? She tilted her head, taken in by the sincerity of his words. Maybe it is, she whispered, her heart fluttering. Then she turned back to Max, who was now enthusiastically demanding to jump off the swing, his face a mask of pure glee. I'm gonna fly, he shouted, swinging back and forth with increasing momentum. Eliza chuckled, her heart swelling with affection. Just be careful, buddy. No flying too high. As Max prepared to leap from the swing, she felt a pang of anxiety twist in her stomach at the thought of him getting hurt. He launched himself into the air, landing perfectly on his feet just a foot away from the swing. Did you see that? He yelled, hands in the air like he had just conquered the world. Well done. Adrian clapped, and Eliza caught the way he and his eyes lit up with excitement for Max, making her heart flutter again. Max grinned widely, basking in the praise. "I'm a superhero. I can do anything." "Superhero indeed," Adrian echoed, leaning down to meet Max's eye level. "But even superheroes need to recharge. What's your secret weapon?" "Ice cream," Max declared, his eyes sparkling with enthusiasm. Adrian chuckled, straightening to look at Eliza. "You've trained him well." "Just following his lead?" Eliza replied, her voice light despite her swirling emotions. "He knows what he likes." They were interrupted by a sudden rustle in the bushes nearby, a small dog bursting forth with excitement and a wagging tail. It bounded straight towards Max, who squealed in delight. "Look, Mom, a puppy!" Max exclaimed, kneeling down to pet the furry creature. Eliza's heart warmed, watching the innocent joy in her son's eyes. "It looks friendly," she smiled, glancing at Adrian, who watched with an amused expression. "Seems like a perfect companion for an aspiring superhero," Adrian mused, and the warmth in his voice made her stomach flutter. As Max played with the dog, Eliza felt the space between her and Adrian close once more, the connection between them palpable. She turned to him, her heart racing. "You know you've been such a breath of fresh air in my life, Adrian." "Have I?" he asked, raising an eyebrow, a teasing smile dancing on his lips. "I could say the same about you. You've brought a spark to this rainy day." Eliza felt her heart race, aware of how his gaze lingered on her, the air charged with unspoken words. "It's easy to forget sometimes," she admitted softly, "how to embrace joy. Maybe I can help you remember," he suggested, stepping closer, their shoulders almost brushing against one another. "Life is too short to be weighed down by worries. You deserve moments that light you up." Eliza swallowed hard, the sincerity in his voice captivating her. She wanted to lean into him, to let herself believe in the possibility of something more than just friendship. But her mind quickly intruded, reminding her of responsibilities, of the reality she had fought to build for Max. "I have to stay grounded," she said quietly, her voice almost a whisper. "Max is my priority." "Of course, and that's admirable," Adrian replied, his voice steady. "But you shouldn't forget about your own happiness. You deserve that too." The intensity of his gaze made her pulse quicken, and she felt a flicker of longing within her, a yearning to step outside the bounds of her carefully constructed life. "It's just—" "Mom, look!" Max interrupted, pulling her attention, holding up the puppy's leash. "Can we keep him?" Eliza chuckled, her heart softening at her son's hopeful expression. "We can't just take a dog home, sweetie. Pets are a big responsibility. But I'll take care of him, I promise," Max pleaded, his eyes wide and earnest. Adrian watched the interaction, a knowing smile on his lips. "What if I helped with the responsibility?" he asked, a hint of mischief in his tone. "We could co-parent a puppy." Eliza couldn't help but laugh at the absurdity of it. "Co-parenting a puppy? Is that what you offer to every single mother you meet?" "Only the ones who intrigue me," he replied smoothly, his eyes sparkling with amusement. "And only for the right puppy." Eliza felt a flush heat her cheeks. "You're incorrigible. You can't just waltz into my life and offer co-parenting like it's the easiest thing in the world." "Why not?" Adrian countered, his voice light but earnest. "Life is complicated, but that doesn't mean we can't find joy in unexpected places." "You make it sound so simple," she said, her heart racing. "But it comes with challenges." "True, but challenges can lead to growth," he replied. "Just like this moment. You're here having fun with Max, and I'm lucky enough to be included. That's a win." Eliza felt a stirring in her chest at his words, a reminder that maybe she could embrace the unexpected. "You're saying I should be more open to possibilities?" "Exactly," he said, stepping even closer. "You deserve a chance to explore what life has to offer, not just for yourself, but for Max too." Before she could respond, Max tugged on her shirt. "Mom, Can we take the puppy home right now? Max, we'll need to find out if he has an owner first, she said, kneeling to meet his gaze. It's important to make sure he belongs to someone. But I want him, Max insisted, his face scrunched in determination. We'll see, she said, giving him a reassuring smile. But let's play with him for a while first. We don't want to rush into anything. Adrian watched the exchange, his expression warm. You're a great mom, Eliza. Just look at how much he adores you. Her heart swelled with pride at his compliment, but the weight of the moment lingered. I'm just trying to do my best, she replied, feeling a mix of gratitude and uncertainty. Your best is pretty amazing, he said, his tone gentle. And I have a feeling you're just starting to scratch the surface of what you can achieve. Eliza felt herself drawn to him, the chemistry between them palpable. Thank you for that, she whispered, her heart racing at the sincerity in his gaze, the kind of sincerity that made her want to lean closer, to explore what was brewing between them. Just then, Max called out again, breaking the moment. Mom, look at the puppy. He's so cute. Eliza turned to see the puppy rolling in the grass, completely unconcerned about the world around him. The way Max laughed and played with the dog reminded her of the joys in life, simple yet profound. Okay, let's play, Eliza said, her heart feeling lighter. She felt a rush of gratitude for this unexpected day, for Adrian, and for the happiness bubbling up within her. They spent the next few moments running with the puppy, the three of them lost in joy. Every laugh shared seemed to bridge the distance that had initially hung between Eliza and Adrian. As the sun began to set, casting a warm glow over the park, Eliza felt a stirring hope settle within her. Maybe this was the start of something new. Hey, I need to head back soon, she finally said after a while. Max has school tomorrow, and we should get ready. Of course,